Okay, we're leaving early, about 8:30, and we're going to a little town about 2 hours away called Avora. So we're going up the street again to pick up the bus towards the train station. That's the aqueduct, but it's not really an old aqueduct. It's in the 1800s. We were going to go to Avora today. What happened? Okay, so we missed the morning train by about 20 minutes, and there's not another train till 5 o'clock. So now we're going to find a walking tour.
And then, anyway, that's everybody hates it.
Because I don't like the cold. I know what you are thinking. It's not that cold here, right? No. And it's really not. In the winter, it's like 10 degrees. But the problem that we face here is not the weather itself. The problem is that the guys build these houses. They think we are a tropical country. So our houses are not prepared for the winter. For example, I don't have central heating in my house. Why the hell not? So I'm cold here in the winter. That's for you to have an idea. My sister, she lives in Sweden with snow and everything. And she refuses to come to Portugal in the winter because she says it's too cold here. By the way, guys, you know what is the Erasmus program? Erasmus is a program of the European Union that pays the Europeans to go study abroad. And that's why all the Europeans they are doing exchange programs at the university. And my sister, she did Erasmus in Stuttgart, Germany. She met a Swedish boy also doing Erasmus there. They fell in love, they got married, they moved to Sweden, and they just had a baby that we say is an Erasmus baby. Guys, and you know that there are 1 million of Erasmus babies in Europe? True, babies of people that met in this exchange program. That's why my sister lives in Sweden, by the way. So guys, but because of this, traveling so much, I realized that in fact, Lisbon is the best place to be in the world. We are really old. We were here before Christ, before the Romans. Back then, we were not called Portuguese yet, but we were called Lusos, or the abbreviation Lusos. We used to refer to ourselves as Lusos, especially for the Portuguese community abroad. Imagine, when a person lives, for example, in Canada, but has Portuguese origins, we say Luso-Canadian, Luso-Swiss, Luso-Scottish, Luso whatever. And you can go down and visit the Roman gallery. This, by the way, you know something funny? This day I'm talking about was precisely yesterday. You may have seen people going down under the... is to visit the Roman galleries. If you want to come back again in April and book online and you can go down and see the galleries. So we are really old. But if you look around to the organized buildings, larger than you, the city doesn't look that old, right? Not even medieval. Do you have any idea why? Exactly. A huge earthquake destroyed the city. On the 1st of November, 1755. And 1st of November is a Catholic holiday. Do you know which one? 1st of November. Also known as Day of the Dead, but here we call it All Saints' Day. That's the day where we like to warm the dead by lighting candles. So on that day, before the earthquake, everybody had candles in their houses, in the churches. So also started a huge fire because the candles dropped with the earthquake. So the city was destroyed and burning. So the population decided to go to the river to seek protection from the fire and from the falling buildings. And when they arrived there, they even had more space because the water went away. So they thought, okay, God is helping us now after all this. Guys, but what really happened was that the epicenter of the earthquake was on the sea. So the water went away because later a tsunami from the river came. And if you look to this pavement, it kind of reminds you shapes of waves, right? Because it said the water right here, we are 1 kilometer away from the river. So imagine this, earthquake, huge fire because of the candles, everybody goes there, and then tsunami. By the way, guys, this pavement is made. This is the typical pavement in Portugal, by the way. And we call it, imagine, Portuguese pavement. And it's made, the worker shapes the limestone with a hammer, one by one, and installs it one by one. And this is a profession that we value and respect a lot. You're gonna see during this tour that we don't value only big heroes and kings, we also value a lot the charismatic people of Lisbon. If we're talking about kings, this king here, the statue, his name is Pedro the Fourth of Portugal. That's why this square is also known as Pedro the Fourth Square. I'm also Pedro. And his father, I'm not four, just Pedro. And his father was the King João the Sixth of Portugal. I'm also João. I'm João Pedro. Here the Portuguese, we always have to first names than to last names. And his daughter was the Queen Maria II. Most south of Europe is Catholic, and Spain decided to expel the Jews, and Portugal decided to receive them. And the King of Portugal liked the Jews, no problem. They were helping us with new techniques for the navigations. They were good businessmen. The daughter of the king was a Jew. So the King of Portugal liked the Jews a lot. At some point, we start receiving pressure from the Pope in the Vatican to send away the Jews. But because the King of Portugal liked the Jews, he told them, look guys, I like you, but this guy in the Vatican is annoying me. So you can either leave, or you convert and you become a new Christian. Guys, and that's what happened. Most of the Jews, they convert, or were forced to convert, and they became new Christians. But this time was also the time we were being affected by a terrible disease called the Black Plague. And one of those Sundays, everybody was gathered inside this church, praying against the Black Plague. And during the Mass, one of the Christians saw the face of Jesus Christ illuminated by light, and he shouted to everyone, look guys, this is a sign from God. It's going to help us against the disease. And the new Christian inside, the former Jew, said, you're stupid. This is the reflection of the light to the window, don't you see this? And the Christians got so mad with him that they dragged him out of the church and beat him to death here in this square. Guys, and this area where we are now used to be very related with Inquisition. In fact, this building here that is now the National Theatre Maria II used to be the headquarters of the Inquisition. It was inside this building that the Catholic Church was deciding who was going to be burned alive. And the priest, also related with the Inquisition here, he shouted to everyone after they killed the first Jew, look guys, I'm now understanding what's going on. The new Christians are the reason why God is punishing us with this disease. Because I know there are still Jews in secret. So we have to kill them all so we can get rid of the Black Plague. Guys, and you know these things escalate with violence, especially when people are dying from unknown diseases. So on that same Sunday, more than 3,000 new Christians were murdered, beaten to death, or burned alive in the streets of Lisbon. Guys, and the massacre only stopped because the king sent the royal guard. The king was the big protector of the Jews, but it was already too late. 3,000 people were already murdered. And because of that, we say that this church is cursed. Because after that was already destroyed once and burned twice. And the last time it burned, 60 years ago, the building... So my parents were 2 years old when this burned during the night without any explanation. They are now 62. And the buildings next to it were not affected. So that was the ultimate proof that this place is cursed. So the Catholic Church itself decided not to rebuild it. After, I will invite you to go inside, and you're going to see that everything is cracked by the heat. Of the intolerance and the religious fanatism that were murdered in the massacre of 1506. Over there in that wall, we have written Lisbon, the city of tolerance, in 27 different languages. Guys, and before we go to the church, I also want to show you something else. Here in this text, the highest ranking of the Catholic Church in Portugal, the Bishop of Lisbon, is apologizing in the name of the Catholic Church to what we did to the Hebrews, the new Christians, and also apologizing for the Inquisition. And he's saying that these acts that we did in the past are not representing the Catholic values at all. So guys, this was put here in the year of 2000, which means only took us 500 years to recognize it. Guys, I will invite you to go inside this church, but this is an operating church. So we have accepted the punishment of God that is being cracked by the heat, but we do everything like a normal church. In fact, the mass will start in 2 minutes. You can still go inside, but you have to stay in the first line not to disturb the mass. You cannot make noise, you also cannot wear hats, and you can take pictures, no problem, but no flash, okay? How do you think this king here on the horse is called? His first name? Pedro.
Yeah. Mary.
So guys, the name of this king is João the First. And how do you think his father was called? Pedro the First, of course. And how do you think his grandfather was called?
Maria. João.
Sorry, it was Afonso the Third. Guys, everybody falls for this because it was João the First and his father was Pedro the First. So before them, no other Joãos or Pedros as kings. By the way, Mary, we can use Mary for boys as second name. First name has to be for boy. And for girls, the first name can be for girl and the second for boy. Guys, but in fact, this king here, João, is not the legitimate king of Portugal, he's a bastard king. But the son of one of the most famous love stories we have here. So what happened was, before he was born, and his father was still a prince, Pedro was a prince, and the father of Pedro, the king of Afonso, ordered Pedro to get married with the Spanish princess. So we started having good relations with the Spanish. But in the meanwhile, Pedro, he fell in love with the maid of the princess. Her name was Inês, and the love story is Pedro and Inês. They were really in love, they already had a baby and everything, but they were lovers in secret. And when the king of Afonso realized about this secret love affair, he thought this might ruin the relations between Portugal and Spain. So he ordered Inês, the maid, to be assassinated, killed. And that's what happened. Inês died, was murdered, and Pedro got really sad. And 3 years later, the king of Afonso also died because he was an old guy. And Pedro became the new king of Portugal, Pedro the First. And the first thing he did was to send away Spanish princess. And then he set the real queen on the throne of Portugal. And he told everyone in the court, look guys, this woman now here, she's the new queen of Portugal. And the kid I have with her, she's going to be the next king of Portugal after me. So now, you all have to kiss the hand of the new queen. So far so good, right? But the only problem with this story is that the queen that is sitting on the throne was a dead body. He buried the corpse of Inês, a corpse with 3 years old, and everybody had to kiss the hand of the corpse. Guys, but of course, you cannot make a dead body the queen of Portugal. So Inês, she was never the queen. So the kid Pedro had with Inês was a bastard king. Guys, and what do you think the Spanish did? When they realized we were putting a bastard king on the throne of Portugal instead of putting the kid Pedro with the Spanish princess.
Well upset.
They were upset and they came here with a huge army to invade us. The French even sent men to help the Spanish conquering us. And the British, they sent men to protect the Portuguese. Thank you. But still, we were outnumbered 5-1. We had no chance, right? We had this man here, Nuno, on the circle. He was the number 2 of the kingdom and he was the commander of the Portuguese army. And he prepared the battlefield to receive our friend Spanish. Year of 1385, 14th century. You know the TV show Game of Thrones? It was this kind of battle. Without the dragons, of course. It was one of the biggest medieval battles ever in the history of mankind. And this man, Nuno, he was a very religious man. So just before the battle started, the armies were facing each other. He took his sword and he prayed to God. And he promised God that if he could defeat the Spanish, he would build a convent for the Carmelite order to honor God. Guys, I don't want to spoil the story. But later on the tour, I'm going to show you this convent to prove you wrong, okay? You might seen it before. It's the Carmel convent without roof. For the Carmelite order, that's why we call it Carmel convent. Guys, and this battle was so important for us because after the Spanish were defeated, they understood we are dangerous and they left us alone. And that's when we start focusing on sending ships all over the world. That's when we start being a global empire. Have you ever heard about the navigator, the guy that started everything in the navigation era? Vasco da Gama is the student of this man, different generation. Anyone knows who's the person that started everything? It was Prince Henry. We call him Henry the Navigator. And Henry the Navigator, the guy that started everything, was the 5th son of João I. So it was after this battle and this king that we start being a global empire. Guys, and this general here on the circle, Nuno, he was already the number 2 in the kingdom. And after this victory, he was even more important and rich. Guys, imagine what he did after the battle. Imagine this. After the battle, he decided to become a monk inside the convent he built. And he gave all his possessions and land to the convent as well. And in 2009, only 10 years ago, recently, the Pope in the Vatican declared Nuno a Catholic saint. So the general that defeated the Spanish is now a saint. So guys, lesson to learn here in Portugal. If you kill Spanish, you become a saint. I'm kidding you, okay? I know you love the Spanish, don't you? Guys, you become a saint because he has more than 500 miracles associated to his name. In fact, we have very good relations with the Spanish. The last one that triggered the decision of the Pope was a blind woman that the doctors told her, look, you will never see again in your life. And then she prayed to this general and she started seeing without any explanation. Guys, we have very good relations with the Spanish, okay? We even call them our brothers, Nuestros Hermanos, means our brothers in Spanish. We love them, they love us back. Just now during the World Cup of football, we're not friends, now we are friends again. Exactly. She moved here almost 2 years ago and she's always around here. She bought a famous palace, actually I think she's renting a famous palace in Santos area. And she fell in love with the Portuguese guitar and fell in love with fado. In fact, she's released a new album in the States on 17th of September where she includes the Portuguese guitar and fado inspirations in her new album. The Portuguese guitar with her in the States. So she's giving lots of visibility to the guitar, that's very good. Guys, but what is fado? Anyone knows what's fado? Sad music? Sad music. So basically fado is our national music.
Oh, okay.
Like Spain has flamenco, Argentina has tango, states have blues, we have fado. And what you are saying now, there are theories about the origins of fado, but the real theory is that nobody knows. And nobody knows because fado used to be a thing of poor, prostitutes, fishermen, sailormen. That was the poor inhabitants of the Castleville. And that's why nobody knows, because nobody cared. Fado was not accepted by the society. There are no records about it, just theories. But what we do know is everything changed with the very pretty prostitutes. Because she used to sing very well back in the 1800s. And this person was the person that made fado being accepted by the society slowly. She's graffitied here. By the way, how do you think she's called? Maria Sfera. And she was the one that changed the history of fado back in the 1800s. And nowadays fado is our national music. Guys, and you said that fado is sad. And they did. We sing a lot about sad things, love affairs that it went well and things we miss. But we also sing a lot about happy things. And when it's happy, you notice that the melodies in the guitars are happier. And the fadista, that is the person who sings fado, does like this with the shoulders. So we don't dance fado, the most we do is like this. Guys, and when it's happy, it's mostly about the gossiping ladies in the windows, the secret love affair, the bohemian lifestyle of each neighborhood. Guys, so you are not going to fado and you're going to be sad. You're going to be very happy with the experience. And you're also gonna notice when you go there that we always have two guitars. The Portuguese guitar, that's what Madonna was holding. It is this round instrument with 12 strings in pairs of two. You play with these two fingers like this. And the classic guitar, the regular guitar, that official name is Spanish guitar. And when you go to Fado, you're gonna notice that the Portuguese guitar commands the show, is like the rock star there. And the Spanish guitar just follows. Like nowadays, Portugal and Spain, you know. Guys, and the way we play Fado is different how other countries play their music. Because Fado is not only music, Fado is everything. Fado is almost a lifestyle. And we call it Fado Vadio. It's written here, Fado Vadio. It's hard for me to translate this word Vadio. But Vadio is the word that we use, for example, for a dog without owner. A dog that is walking here. We use Vadio for that word, and we also use Fado, Vadio. And that means like Bohemian Fado. So the way we play this Fado Vadio is we go to houses of Fado. They kind of look like restaurants. But when tiny restaurants. But when the musicians sing, the lights go down, everybody stays quiet, and they sing about 9 songs, they stop half an hour. They sing, they stop. They sing, they stop. And they are doing this all night long, from 7, 8 until 12, 1. Or maybe 2, 3, depends on the place and on the day. So the concept of Fado is something that you go there, you take a seat, you grab some wine, some food, you get to know the persons there, and you feel this bohemia that we live here in Lisbon. Fado is this lifestyle related with bohemia that we live here in Lisbon. Over there it's legal, of course, you can see they are trying to erase it. We continue? Is port wine. The British love that. Our second most famous is ginginha. And ginginha basically was invented by drunk monks in the monasteries. They invented lots of good things here. And they invented this drink as alcohol on it. But they said, okay guys, this is alcohol, but this is just a medicine. And the recipe is you need to drink 7 a day. And if you keep this routine, you're going to be healthy the rest of your lives. As of course this was bullshit.
Well, I like that.
It was an excuse of the monks to get wasted on this without nobody criticizing. But what? Or sometimes they put chocolate cups as well. And what they invent is actually really nice. It's sour sherry liquor fortified with brandy. And we do drink this a lot, especially as a dessert. Last Christmas, my family and I, we smashed 5 bottles of Fiji. They have a big family, come on guys, we are 2.
This is a gin break.
And I give you 50 cents. You may have noticed these tiles all over the place, here, the green one, this one. Guys, the tiles were originally invented by the Moors, the Muslims from North of Africa. They were here and they left lots of influence and heritage to the Portuguese. And the King of Portugal liked the tiles, and we start using them as a sign of wealth on the buildings. And then we start doing the Portuguese versions of the tiles, that are the tiles with human figures on it. Because the Moors, they were not representing human figures on the tiles. And the second thing here is what she was saying, the nata, the costietar. You have the image of that here in the window. We have in the reels and the image here. Guys, the original one, the one that you have to try is the one in Bellamy. Because in Belém there is the monastery, and next to the monastery there is a bakery that has the secret recipe, the original one. You know why? Because this was also invented by monks. I told you monks invented lots of good things. So that bakery has the secret recipe, that's the one you have to try.
So that's Belém.
Really? It also belong to you as well to get it. You have to go again, too easy. Guys,
Awfully good around here.
and the third thing here is actually the saint that is on the tiles. His name is Sant Antonio. As anyone knows where Saint Antonio is from? Italy. Where in Italy? Padua. Padua. You see these guys? I discovered a concerning issue when I started doing these tours. I discovered that 100% of the Italians, and apparently some Quebecois as well, they say Saint Antonio is Italian. They even call him Saint Antonio of Padua. Have you ever heard this name, Saint Antonio of Padua? Okay, that's good because Saint Antonio of Padua doesn't exist. His name is Saint Antonio of Lisbon. So Saint Antonio is born and raised in Lisbon, and he went on the crusade to north of Africa. On his way back he got sick, he stopped in Padua in Italy to get better. He lived 11 months in Padua. He ended up dying there. And all the Italians, they call him Saint Antonio of Padua. They are hijacking our saints. You never give the name of the saint to the place where he died. It's always the place where he was born. So guys, to clarify this issue is nowadays my mission on earth. So in the end of the tour, I'm going to show you the place where Saint Antonio was born. He still doesn't believe me, so I'm going to show you. You see? Guys, for you to have an idea of how far this east has gone, in Argentina, Buenos Aires, they have a big neighborhood that is called Saint Antonio of Padua. There should be Saint Antonio of Lisbon. At least in the States, in the Texas, it just says Saint Antonio. Neutral is better from Padua, but it's the same person, it's Saint Antonio of Lisbon. Guys, and Saint Antonio is one of the most important complex saints in the Catholic world. And one of the things that he used to do was helping young couples that could not afford a wedding to get married. Because in his vision, if you were together, you were in sin if you are not married. So nowadays, to honor him, the City Hall of Lisbon, not the City Hall of Padua because it's not Italian, offers to 13 couples on the 13th of June, that is his day, a free wedding, a free honeymoon, and a free dress. And the only criteria to apply for the free weddings is that one of the partners needs to be from Lisbon, which means you all have almost a year to find a partner from Lisbon if you have a free wedding on the next June. Doesn't happen nothing there. Guys, and the honeymoon, by the way, you get married with 12 other couples at the same time on the national television. That day is like a reality show. My grandmother is going to be watching that on the TV for sure. And the honeymoon is in the south of Portugal, Algarve, also cool. Guys, and this is also the saint that you can pray for missing objects. If you lose something, you pray to Saint Antonio and you find it. And that's the reason he's famous all over the world. So if you lose something, you pray to Saint Antonio of Lisbon and you're going to find it. If you pray to Saint Antonio of Padua, you're not going to see it again. The good thing of this castle is the view. The view is not that different from the view you just had. If you're into medieval castles, I strongly recommend the Moorish castle in Sintra. Or if you have more time, I can also recommend outside of Lisbon area. Guys, there is a viewpoint after the castle that I think it's better than the castle. Because on that viewpoint, you have the castle on it. And I think it's better to have a view with the castle on it than being inside the castle. And also you don't need to pay for it. Guys, not only because of the money, I'm from Lisbon, I have the castle for free. But even me, I often go to the other viewpoint because I think it's better. I have some maps in my backpack. In the end of the tour I can give these maps to you and I can point where is the map, where is the viewpoint if you're gonna go there later. Yes, but this castle is also a Moorish castle. In fact, they were here mostly in the south. In fact, all the words that start with Al, they have Arab influence. Alfama, Almada in the other side of the river, Algarve, Albufeira, Alentejo, it's all names of regions in the south. If you go to the north of Portugal, you don't have places starting with Al, because the Moors, they were barely there. So they were here, and the King of Portugal wanted to conquer Lisbon on the 12th century, but this was too well defended. There was the Moorish castle and the Moorish wall around the city, so we decided to siege it and wait for the Moors to starve to death. But somehow they were managing to survive. They were getting access to water and food and they were surviving. And some months passed since the beginning of the siege. And one of the captains of the Portuguese army He was his name was Martim Muniz. He was walking the outside walls and he saw one of the gates open and he knew it was not going to be for long. So he decided to run into the door. The Moors, they saw him, so they started closing the door. But he still managed to pass, but he got smashed and died. But because he was wearing a shiny armor, the door didn't close totally. And then his mates, they push the door, they enter and they conquer everything. And the King of Portugal told the Moors that survived the battle, look guys, you wanna live here in Portugal, no problem, you can stay here in Lisbon. But you just get out of my new castle, now it's mine. And you move over there. And that's why that the neighborhood over there is after the castle is called Mouraria, the Moorish quarter. That's where the Moors moved after we conquered Lisbon. It doesn't have Moorish influence anymore, it was a long time ago. In Portugal we mostly have names of places and tiles as Moorish influence. We don't have places like south of Spain, like Granada, Alhambra, Cordoba, because we finished our reconquest to the Moors on the 13th century. The Spanish, they conquered Granada to the Moors on the 16th century. 300 years after we finish our reconquest, that's why they have more Moorish influence than us. Yes, and this thing that Martim Muniz did, threw himself between the doors, represents a very Portuguese characteristic, that is, finding last-minute solutions with great results. I know this one is controversial, it was a great result, because the guy died smashed on the door. But nowadays, he has a metro station on the Green Line with his name. He also has a square with his name. I think it was a great result.
Graffiti ruins.
Some people like to call the entire Castle Hill Alfama, that's why the tourists call Alfama. But to be precise, this is Castle, this is Alfama. Just one curiosity, this building here is apartments buildings, and this house here on the middle on the left, this is the house where my father was raised. I never got to know this house, it's just a story my father told me. This used to be rented by my great-grandfather. Before, no tuk-tuks, no tourists, in fact it was a poor area of the city. And because my father is from here, he got to marry my mother for free inside the castle. But they are not divorced, so I don't recommend. Guys, and we are going out to that viewpoint that is called Gates of the Sun, Doors of the Sun, because it's said to be the best spot to see the sunrise.
This is Alfama.
For you here by the because of this leg, this now is the official stop in almost all the tours. And people make different stories around this leg. The most agreed one is that the leg is here because Maria Severa, the prostitute, she used to sing here. I was also curious about this leg. And last year I met the owner of this house, he's a neighbor of God, he's also João, by the way, he was the guy that was just here. And they told me what this leg is symbolizing. And do you know what this symbolizing? Absolutely nothing.
What is that?
The decoration of the parties that we organize in June to honor our saint, Saint Antonio. During the entire month of June, everybody's partying here. And if you go to Italy in June, there is nothing happening. Because Saint Antonio is not Italian, he's from here. Enough of Goulet to him. But guys, what I wanted to talk about here is about the tourism boom and how it's affecting us. I'm not sure if you are aware, but we are under a boom. It started like 5 to 10 years ago. For example, 5 years ago we had 0 tuk-tuks here. One guy went to Thailand, he thought it was a nice idea, and we started using the tuk-tuks here to bring tourists around. And also the nationalities that are visiting us, they are completely different. Before, it was mostly British and Irish in the south of Portugal, Algarve. Now we also have them in Lisbon. And people from all over the world, look to this tour. Americans, Canadians, Thais here, Australians before. As I remember the first time I met someone from United States, like 10 years ago, I was like, ooh, United States. I've seen that on the Hollywood movies. So far away, so exotic, so rare. Don't worry guys, you are still exotic here, but not as much as 5 years ago. 5 years ago from Thailand, Canada, Australia, States probably would be the only ones here. Yes, and this tourism boom is creating a positive impact. For example, creating new jobs. Thank you so much. And it's also improving a lot the way the city looks like. The city has a new appearance, looks much better. But it's also creating a huge distortion in the housing prices, especially here in Alfama. So Alfama used to be a poor neighborhood. Poor people live here, but very charismatic people that belong here. Now it's lunchtime, but if you come here later, you're gonna see all these ladies in the windows seeing what's going on. This, like the dog was doing. We say these ladies, they are the security cameras of the neighborhood. Here you don't have to concern about pickpockets. The surveillance system is very active here. Guys, and these people, by the way, these ladies, I told you, in June this becomes a party area, right? In June, if you make too much noise here, these ladies, they throw you buckets of water at night. Guys, but they are very charismatic, they belong here. Alfama is not the same without them. But now, this is the coolest neighborhood. So the landlords, they can send these old people away, reform the apartments, and get at least 30 times more. See? So behave, you are being recorded. Usually there is always one lady here that comes to say hi. By the way, how do you think this lady here is called?
Maria.
Usually Maria shows up here, but maybe she's having lunch. This one I don't know. But guys, now the landlords, they know they can send these old people away and get 30 times more on Airbnb, Booking.com, etc. So that's what's been happening. The locals are being sent away, so the landlords rent their houses to tourists on these platforms. And the City Hall of Lisbon is aware of this. So a few months ago, they decided to forbid Airbnb, Booking. Everything is forbidden. So the rule is no one can make new accommodations, no one gets new licenses. If you already have an Airbnb, a house or hotel, you can still use it, but no one gets new ones. Guys, and I'm making a living out of tourism. Doing this tours is my full-time job. So as you can imagine, I'm biased to love tourists and want more tourists. But even me, I agree with this. Because I think it's a win-win situation. We want to protect the locals that live here. And we also want you tourists to have a genuine experience. You don't want to come here and see only tourists, right? Otherwise you can go to Disneyland.
So this old guy sells lottery tickets.
Moorish wall that was around the city to defend it. And the Celts, they decided to ask help to the Moors to defeat the other tribes. And the Moors accepted, but when the Moors arrived here, they said, look mate, I'm sorry, but instead I'm going to take all this for me, I like it. And they got too powerful. And there was no way we could defeat them. They were the Caliphate of Cordoba. But what happened is that the Moors, they start fighting between themselves as well, and they divided in taifas. When they divided, it was possible to do the Reconquista. Because back then, the Moors were much more advanced than we were. And it's because of this Moorish influence that we also absorb knowledge for the navigation techniques.
This is where the gate of Lisbon used to be.
Have you seen the aqueducts? A big aqueduct in Lisbon. Looks like Roman. It's not Roman, it's from the 8th century, a few years before the earthquake. This was built to bring water from Sinter to Lisbon because we cannot drink the water from the river, it's mixed salted. What do you think is our number one export?
Tourism.
I don't think you're going to guess. I'm going to give you a clue. It's related to Germany. Guys, our number one export is Volkswagen cars. We have a big factory of Volkswagen in the other side of the river called Auto Europa. So, thank you, Germany. Guys, but this building here, this is the Lisbon Cathedral. When we conquered Lisbon to the Moors, on the year of 1147, this was a Muslim mosque. And we destroy it, and we use the same stones to build a Catholic cathedral. But guys, this is not the most important thing we can see here at the moment. The most important thing we can see here right now is this church here that was built on the top of the house where Saint Antonio was born. So here you have the ultimate proof that Saint Antonio is not Italian. So please, pictures of this to send back to Italy. Guys, and if you lost something that you really miss, like your keys, your wallet, come here to the origin of everything to pray to Saint Antonio, and you're gonna find it for sure. The one that is in the
The guide brought us to this restaurant. What did you order?
Cash of the day is a sea bass.
This is no mocking. So here's the illegal Chinese restaurant in the daytime. The door in the middle, but the only way you can tell is that little red tinsel up there. Here's another illegal Chinese restaurant. You can see the lantern there. That's the only way you know it's an illegal restaurant.
So now we're headed home for a rest.